All right, we will get started. There's still a few trickling in as usual, but thank you to everyone who's taking the time to join us and talk about what we have coming out. We are, as always, excited. Um, this is going to be our final update for e-manageONE ever. Just kidding. April Fools, everybody. April Fools. We've got so much planned for this year, and we are really excited. We've got several things on the books for a lot of really exciting releases this year. So, more to come, but this one's a big one and the first of the year, our update. And yeah, just excited to show you guys what we have going on. So, as always, we've got some housekeeping things to go through and just make sure that all my admins in the room are crossing their T's and dotting their I's, making sure that you've done what you've needed to do to get all the good stuff coming your way. We'll talk about our new features and enhancements. And then, of course, we'll briefly discuss some of our issues that we got resolved. And we'll leave some time for some questions at the end. As always, feel free to speak up, unmute, show your face if you'd like. I love seeing y'all's faces. And definitely use the chat room. Feel free to use the chat room to ask any questions or chime in on any oohs and ahs. We love to hear it. We want to make sure that we're putting out things that you guys have been asking for and resolving the most important issues out there. So use the chat room. We are going to be recording this and posting it to our YouTube channel. So please, please, please share it with those folks in your office that were unable to join us today. There's going to be things that are absolutely going to be affecting every single user in this update. So it's important that they all understand what's coming so they're not all terrified when they log in on the day that we release the update and don't know what's where things are if anything's moved around. So share this video. It'll be posted to our YouTube channel. We'll also do a follow-up email and let you guys know that it's been posted, so you can encourage those who weren't able to join to check out what we've got going on. Okay. All right. So some housekeeping items. My admins in the room, please, please, please be sure to go import your default grid layouts. We've got several new grids released in this update. So in order to take advantage of us getting you guys a leg up and putting a grid out there that we feel like is the best way to start in that grid. You can always modify it from there, but get those default grid layouts that we are putting some effort into to make sure that you've got a good looking view to start with. We are doing that regularly, uploading default grid layouts, but with an update, I want to always remind you to do this. It never hurts to do this throughout your usage of eManage just to see if we are putting out some marketplace software defaults. So do go in after you update eManage, go in and import your default grid layouts from the help menu. Additionally, you'll want to download the dashboards, download any defaults that we have added in there. So this is in your view menu, dashboard viewer, and then you'll hit download defaults. We will briefly talk to this window, got a small update on it. So we'll talk about that later on in the slides, but do go download your default dashboards. Lastly, you'll want to import any new day planner items. That's under your, if you have the rights, my admins in the room, please go into your tools menu, configure day planner items and import new day planner items in case we put anything new out there. Always adding, always modifying based on your feedback. So please keep it coming and please make sure to go download those few things that we want to make sure that you take advantage of. Some new features. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so brand new feature. I am stoked about this one. I hope you guys are excited as I am. We have a new module, both in the project window and in your company window. After you guys get the update, you will see this new module available to you. It is very much admin controlled. There will be nothing in here until your admin and actually configures it. What this is going to do for you guys is allow you to enter installation details at the company level and the project level. If you enter company install details, it will carry through to every project that you create for that company. So if you're unfamiliar with this part of the business, there are some specific install details that apply specifically to a company, and they always apply to that company. You can fill out that customizable form by your admin. It is very customizable. It's going to allow a dealer to actually go in and modify the text, modify the drop downs. If you want it to be a drop down, you can actually add whatever drop down selections you want to. You can format them to make them dates or check boxes or numbers. You can even control required fields to standardize your information. So admins have full control over creating what installation details do we want to capture at the company level that will then carry through to the project level. But then there are project specific install details that don't always apply to the company as a whole. It might be project specific. Some of you might be wondering, oh, I might have a survey that I already use. This is going to hopefully save you some time on some of the same details that you're filling in on every single install survey. So we probably want to see about transferring that survey or at least some of it over into the installation details module. It will save you guys some time from yeah, filling in that same information on the company level. Let it carry through to the project. But also, yeah, allowing your admin to control what's required and not required. It feels like a true form, and like I said, very customizable. Let it drive consistency across all your teams. Very cool module. Very excited about this. I see some questions already coming in. Know that Ravi and my team are in the chat room. They'll hopefully answer any questions. If there's anything that I need to show off, Ravi, please let me know and I can certainly address it for the whole team. Additionally, this will also come with a pre-designed report. So you'll see, oh, there we go. It will flow, those fields will flow directly into reports. You can print at the company level. So what you're seeing in the top left corner there, you can print the install details from that level. Or if you go and print the project level report, there's just a print button right within the module there. So you'll see that little print button right there, print in the project. And then it will produce this nice looking clean report that you can send out with your work order or save it to the project as an installation document. And then from the mobile app, your installers can also access this information that might affect them when they're out in the field. But this is helpful also for obviously gathering information for labor quotes, um, getting all the site details that will affect, different departments. This module is going to definitely help us keep tabs on that specific site information that we want to put into the system. Lots of questions coming in. Hope you guys are excited about that module. We will, as always, these everything that I'm going over is documented in the help guide. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end on how to access that information because I want to make sure you guys have the tools in your tool bag, to make sure that you can go in and take advantage of these new features. If you're not using it, you're not being able to take advantage of it. So definitely go admins, please go check out those help guide articles on the setup. It'll walk you through how to create all these different fields so that we can capture this important information. All right. Beta BOM. We have been getting so much feedback on the Beta BOM. So for those of you that have been using it, huge appreciation. For those of you who are not, I'm going to encourage you highly to encourage your team and encourage yourself to go in and use this Beta BOM. It is going the old legacy BOM, our bill of materials module that we've been using for years and years now, is going to be going away at some point. So if you don't start using it now, get in there and practice. It's going to be a shock to the system. It's a big, big change, but With that being said, we are listening. We're taking your feedback. There have been some struggles with some of the flow and the way that the form looks. So we have made some pretty big changes for this next release. I'm going to play a little video here and kind of walk you through the flow of things. So now when you hit new quote in the beta BOM, you have, of course, you have to fill in your quote name. If you haven't already started getting into this, as you can see, the very first step is quite different than the step that we're used to in the regular BOM. We kind of flip flop things. Before I go too deep into my rabbit hole, because I could talk about these things all day, we will be doing a specific beta BOM webinar again. If you haven't checked out the first one, that one still got some pretty good, helpful tips in it. So definitely check that out, that first webinar that we did on it. But I am going to do another one since we have made some changes and a lot of improvements. There's actually some new feature adds as well. So talk briefly about them today, but know that we are going to be doing a beta BOM focused session. A lot of questions coming in. Great. The first step is to create a new quote. And what you'll see here is that there's new buttons in the bottom of the quote window. You can now go straight to importing a CIF file or an XML, or you can go save and edit parts. So the buttons are a little bit different to hopefully help the user flow through the system a little bit more seamlessly. When you do click import, it'll take you straight to the import window and you import regularly. So however you're importing now, browse for your file or go grab it from your project documents. And when you import, it will create a brand new option if you didn't tell it to import into the option, and it will automatically attach it to the quote. So a few flow changes, right? That first window has some new buttons to hopefully help you get to the next piece of the puzzle a little bit more smoothly. Right. What we're also going to see here is that some big changes up top. We've kind of made some adjustments to the, actually, real quick, I'm going to sidebar for a new feature add here. We have had the bulk edit selected parts. This is the price by menu that most of you are familiar with, to bulk edit parts and pieces. And you'll see that in this window now, we have the ability to actually add, increase your list cost and sell by a percentage. So this is the new feature add, was requested by somebody and we added it in. We're listening. You guys keep the feedback coming, but a cool bulk edit feature that's been added. So a little sidebar there for that feature add, but some enhancements that we made to the view. The split screen wasn't being taken very well with the left toolbar, so we've moved your options and your phases and your BOM back to the top of the screen. But rather than the tree breakdown where you hit the plus, plus, plus to get to your BOM, they're in its own little windows. A lot of really important reasons why we did this. It's more user friendly, your information is more exposed, user facing. So it's going to make it a lot easier for training new employees. We've already experienced this firsthand. We've been rolling this out with all of our new customers, and it's been taken really, really well. The learning curve is a lot faster. The learning curve, there will be a small one from legacy BOM to beta BOM, of course, but it's just change. Okay, change is sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but we'll get there. And we're taking feedback. If something's really not jiving, we're gonna make adjustments. But the beauty of what we're doing with these changes is that technically you guys can customize this form in whatever way you want. Okay, we are going to allow you, if you like the tree, you're going to be able to put your options and your phases and your BOMs back together into one window if that's the way that you want to do it. So you will have the flexibility to put it back that way. In this next update, though, you'll see that if you download the default grid layout, what you'll see here is that we've grouped it by phases, so that when you are in this part section at the bottom here, you can enlarge that window. You can just see everything as far as the groupings all in one big screen. So technically, you don't even have to work in your options, phases, BOMs when you are working your parts. Enlarge those screens, and then you can even minimize your toolbars so that you have a ton of really great screen space to work in that parts level where we're doing a lot of, manipulating. So click that full screen back to get it to the way that it was, but you can adjust, hover over certain areas to adjust your screen space. And like I said, at the end of the day, you can right click, customize your layout and completely put it in a way that you want it to be. Okay, so we're modifying it in a way that we think most users will want to use it. I would say try it for a bit, get used to it, and if you want to adjust it, you absolutely can. You have the power. So a little bit of a flow change and a view change to hopefully get us using that BOM a whole lot more. Every issue that you guys are reporting in the legacy BOM, if it is an actual issue still, which we've already resolved a ton of issues from the legacy BOM, but they are only in the beta BOM. So if you're experiencing an issue in the legacy BOM, I would highly encourage you to go try to recreate that in the beta BOM, and more than likely it has been resolved. We do not have an ETA at this time. I don't know if that's been a question already. I'm sure it is. When are we getting rid of the legacy BOM? We're not going to until we feel 100%, 110% on how you guys are enjoying the beta BOM and ensuring that all the bugs are resolved. But we can develop a whole lot faster in this beta BOM. So when there are issues or there are new feature requests to the BOM, we're going to be able to roll those out a lot quicker. So exciting stuff. All changes there's every single change is intentional. So if you're curious about why we're doing some of the things that we're doing, do ask, and we'll try to make it clear and make adjustments if we need to. Right. Another user interface update. We are slowly, if you haven't noticed, we are slowly but surely updating the interface, and each module receiving has now been updated. The main changes that you're going to see here is the toolbar, the ribbon at the top. So it looks quite different. I highlighted the wrong toolbar ribbon. Apologies there, but you can see, just making sure my screen is still showing there. The ribbon here has changed. So more along the lines of all the other ribbons that we've updated, user friendly, user facing, a lot more intuitive when you can see these big buttons that you need to click on. An improvement that we've made as far as location applying goes, we have made the location available to a drop down configuration. So your admins can actually go and load up all of your locations into the drop down. I know a lot of you work with subcontractors, and you might be saying, I want to receive it to subcontractor A or subcontractor B. Load those up so you don't have to type them in every single time. Or if you actually have true locations that you have in your warehouse and you want to just go ahead and load those up, so quicker to grab and apply without having to type in, pretty cool. But it can also be a free form as well. You don't have to load anything up into the drop downs, and you can still utilize both. As far as I'm aware, you can still free form or select from a drop down. We have added a received percentage visual added into the grid here. This kind of shows you how we're updating all of our grids and the capabilities that come along with updating our grids. We can add more visual um, toolbars and things like that. So that's kind of a cool little quick glance to see if something's been 100% received. And then lastly, if you are a Hayward dealer, we do have the ability to now receive by carton. Um, it will only show the carton uh, section in the receiving module if it is a Hayworth purchase order. So for those of you who are not Hayward dealers, you will see it look like this: no cartons in the bottom right corner. but it does still work both ways for my Hayward dealers. You can still receive by line item, but if you want to receive a full carton and all the line items that are in that carton, clicks of a button and you can receive by carton. Really cool. Another big user interface change and update. If you haven't, this is a little bit of a plug for me. If you're not taking advantage of the follow ups feature, you are missing out. And especially with the update that we're about to roll out with these follow ups, I'm super excited about this feature. I think it's going to be much more useful and obviously more intuitive when we update these windows, a lot more user friendly. But what I'm going to play a quick video here to show you how to add a follow up and what the new design looks like. But again, quick plug for me: if you're not using follow ups, they're basically like side task reminders to support the project flow versus action items, which most of you are very familiar with. Action items are actual more static milestones, your built-in workflow, while follow-ups are these side things that are happening to support that workflow. So definitely use follow-ups. So what you're going to see me do here is you can create a follow-up in a project, a company, or a contact. Okay. They all work exactly the same. The big difference here: in the old follow-ups, you had to like grab a user and push them over to the other side. Much more user friendly. You hit a drop down and you can select a user to assign a follow-up to, or you can just start typing their name. So it's more like Outlook, like an email, so much more intuitive for us. You choose your follow-up type, and then you plug in what the date and what this follow-up actually entails. So you'll see me kind of plug in a little bit of an example of how you can use a follow-up. Every follow-up for a project is going to be a little bit different, while action items are the actual workflow. So here you're seeing a new feature add here. With our follow-ups, you're able to actually go in and create subtasks or checklists to support that follow-up. Yes, I need to phone call this person, or I need to send this person an email, or whatever your follow-up types are. But in order to do that, I might have a couple of checks and balances that I need to remind myself or my partners, my counterparts, to also complete in order for me to wrap this full follow-up up. So these are you can just start typing your checklist. So it's not static, it is very much dynamic. You can type in any supporting task for this one follow-up so that I can remind myself of all the different little things that I need to do to complete this. And you can assign that for this one follow-up, it might be my main responsibility, but in order to make that happen, I might have multiple things underneath for different users to complete. So you can type in what those are and and who they should be assigned to. You can leave it as all users as well if there's no specific responsibility to those um, tasks, those little checklists that are supporting. So I'm assigning it to two different users and creating a third one so you guys can see. I need to follow up with this customer on an install date, but I have three different things I need to check with on different people in the company so that I can give them a more solid installation date. Little sample of how you could use these. When I hit save, it'll show up in my follow-ups queue as usual, but big changes here. The interface is quite modern, quite different. I am very excited about this and the direction we're taking the entire system. These are things that we can do inside of eManage, add some color for red flags and things like that. But what you're going to see in this window, very user friendly, got a toolbar at the top so you can see some of the action you can take, and you have some different views that you can flip that we've already embedded into the system that you can kind of flip between. Some color coordinating things there. You can click on the follow up in the middle of the screen and see a preview, or you can double click to open up the follow up and see the window that we were just in. So if I double click to open that up, you'll see all the details and the tasks that I've already completed and what I have left, and a little progress bar showing me what hasn't been done yet. If I'm completely finished, obviously I'll complete everything and complete that and give a little bit of a reply to the follow up. to say what has been done, and then you can save it as a reply so that it shoots a reply back to the other users a part of this follow-up, and then you can save it. And then it'll clear out of your follow-ups after refreshing, or it might clear out automatically. Still kind of playing with this. What you're also going to see is the color codes on here. Green means that we're on track and it's not due yet. Red is it's past due from my original due date. You can open things up and edit and save. So if something has pushed, obviously you can change that due date. Yellow means that it's coming up here pretty soon and that it's going to be due here soon. So some different ways, excuse me, to manage your follow-ups and make sure that you're attacking things according to their due dates. Super excited about that feature. As always, I'm excited about all the new features. So oh boy, this one. So moving forward, and again, we can address any questions at the end if I need to go back and review anything live in the database. Big change for anybody who does sales commissions. We have moved the menus. So your commission report is going to be under the human resources menu going forward. It is a HR thing. We're paying commissions that should fall under that menu. So we have moved both of these over. Um, by both, I mean we now have available to you grid-based commission view. This has been a long time request, and I am stoked to release this to you guys. What this means for you, anytime we put anything in a grid, means you have a lot more flexibility to modifying your reports, filtering by user, filtering by dates, all the things that grids give us rather than a PDF view of a document or an analysis. These grid views allow us to slice and dice the data in a whole different way. The additional benefit of being in grid views is the obvious of exporting to Excel. A lot of you have been requesting this. If you have some commission plans that are just much more intricate than I would say the dealer standards that we work with, and you need to export it to Excel and work your magic, you'll be able to do that. So schedule your commissions in e-manage, export them out to Excel, and then manipulate. So you're still needing to go through the motions and actually put that commission in the system, but the ability to get your commissions now in a grid-based view is really a game changer for a lot of my dealers. I know that. Review those commissions prior to payout, send them over to QuickBooks, or if you can export them and import them into your payroll system, we also have that benefit of being in a grid view now. There's also some things that you can do, and you can take action directly in the grid. So if you want to mark things as paid and actually select and mark things as paid, you'll be able to do that in this new grid-based commission view, all under the human resources menu going forward. This was actually a custom development under our custom development sprint program from a dealer that works with a customer who really requires the invoice to be completely modified without disturbing your actual data. There's a whole help guide article on this. If you want to take advantage of something that a dealer did pay for to prioritize and make their lives easier, but it might be something that you can take advantage of as well. The ability to group multiple invoice items into a simplified and control what actually prints on the invoice without disturbing what's actually happening in accounting or the order data. There's no impact to that. There are some of our dealers' customers that have very specific PO requirements, and it has to align exactly with what's on their PO. But we do have to put this data into our system in order to, get to order. This is a way to customize the look of your invoice, and again, no impact to any accounting or order data. It's really you're tailoring the invoice for your customer without changing any of your internal data. So cool feature to check out in the help guide articles. Like someone wanted to unmute and ask a question, feel free. Nope. Right, wrapping up new features so we can move on to enhancements. A couple of other just miscellaneous new features that I can breeze through. There are some with the new grids. You guys should know at this point that we're slowly updating every single grid in our system. There's a lot of benefits to these new grids. So if you haven't checked out that help guide article on the new grids, definitely go see what you're missing. There's some really cool features in there. But one of the things that we were so there's some things that are missing that we're slowly adding back, and one of those is your view options. Um, the search bar has been a game changer in grids. So if you don't have a search bar and you're in the new grids, you can right click on top of any column header and you can toggle that search bar on so that you can just start typing to find and narrow down results in your massive amount of data, rows of data. You can also toggle the filter panel. These are just views that you can adjust to clean up what you're looking at, and you can toggle on the filter panel or even auto adjusting the height to the content in that row. So some different view options added into the new grids. That's just a right click on top of any column header to get to some of these different options that you have in the new grids. In the view purchase order module, you'll be able to export XMLs. This is mostly AIS focused. There is an AIS XML export that you can get to directly in the purchase order module now. At first, we only had it in the bill of materials, but now you can actually get to it in the view purchase order grid. Um, uh, an, an, uh, I think this was come from, I wanted to remember who it was from. Sorry, I got tongue tied there for a second, but there was a request from a dealer, so we are listening. I'm going to continue to say that. But somebody asked to have actions to perform added to the open launcher window. If you're not familiar with the open launcher window, these are some things that you can turn on when you're opening eManage for it to just auto launch it, auto open it up. And actions to perform was requested, and we said, okay, sounds good, added it in. So if you want that to auto open your actions to perform every day when you open up eManage, go into your user preferences and turn that on to open on startup. Lastly, a small update to the dashboard viewer. When you go to view dashboard viewer, those visual metrics areas of the system, we have the ability to now download an XML. We're getting ready to make things a lot easier for you guys to customize your dashboards and create your own dashboards, but there are steps that we have to take in order to get us there. So this allows us to actually share dashboards in the future. If a dealer creates a dashboard that could be helpful for everyone, we can put that into the system. But yeah, download XMLs is but the actual toolbar looks a little bit different from the last update. So just wanted everybody to be aware. All right, moving on to some enhancements that we've made. Always updating the user interface. The actions to perform, we've already updated that one, but now when you actually open up an action item to complete, you are a receiver of action items and you're performing actions. Whole new look and feel, the user interface and user experience we've thought through and we've made some adjustments. Really excited about this one. You do have the ability to now enlarge any part of the screen. So you'll see me enlarge the completion tasks. If you have a whole list of completion tasks, checks and balances that you should be crossing your T's, dotting your I's, you'll have an enlarge option there and you can put it right back. We can even customize the layout now. So if you don't like the for split screens or you want to make the left side a little bit bigger or get rid of something, you have the ability every single time that we update the interface and most of these forms, you're going to have control to customize the layout for your entire company. Okay. So this is a one-time setup and it affects the whole company. We've modified and added some color. Again, color kind of gives us these indicators or red flags to what's happening quickly, visuals that can help us identify what I need to focus on. So the due by will be red if you're past the due date. If it's on time, it'll be gray, and then it can be green as well. Sorry, I went too fast there. So I'm just talking about that little do by there. But also we have the progress bar slider where you can just scroll it over to show about how far along you think you are, and then change your expected completion date. Designers, this is something that we use often in the design world, but think about how it can be useful in other departments as well. This is a way for us to communicate more efficiently without having to go and check with somebody how far along they are. Did they receive it? When are they going to be done? If we're taking advantage of these features built into the system, those folks who are curious about the progress can go look at their open actions and see this information only if you're using it. Okay. So if you have a task that takes more time, this doesn't apply to my order processing folks. Usually you're processing it and moving on, but maybe you're about halfway done and you're waiting on somebody to do something. You can slide your progress bar over, tell it how long you think it's going to take for you to complete it, and this information will transfer back. Oh, sorry. I also wanted to point out the taskbar completion as well. So this is another visual metric added to show how far along you are. These are your completion tasks on an action item controlled by your admin. Everything about action items is controlled by your admin. If you want them to make any adjustments to the action item setup and what you're looking at there. Another thing I didn't highlight on this slide, but I noticed it later after I made this slide. There's also a download button on the documents, which I think is really cool. You can download those to your computer if you wanted to save them to a file, or maybe you need to send them to a customer or something of the sorts. Then you can download those, and then you can even add additional documents to the action item, I believe now, or maybe that's when you're editing it. But regardless, the entire interface has been updated, much more modern look and feel. Uh, yeah, give us some feedback. Hopefully, you guys are going to enjoy it as well. All right. Another redesigned window, order entry. We had beta order entry out there for a moment. It's been tested, it's been used. This isn't as shock to the system as bill of materials is going to be. And just to give you some insights on why we are doing it the way that we're doing it, bill of materials is such an important part of the puzzle to a project. We do not want to slow down or impact an area of the system that just is absolutely key to everything going forward after the bill of materials. So we're leaving that one, but order entry beta, it don't, there's not a whole lot to it. We're processing what already happened in the bill of materials. So you will want to get used to this, get comfortable. Let me explain it so that you understand why we did it the way we did it. But the obvious is the new toolbar ribbon that we're seeing in all of the new windows. That is going to continue to be released in these new windows, making it much more user friendly. The first step that you're going to do now, rather than if you order entry folks in the room, name your order, highlight your order, select and save your quote, literally reduced 4 steps right there. All you're going to do is just select your quote. There's no save button or anything. Once you select your quote, it auto names the order, and then you just fill in your drop downs. So same drop downs, same workflow here. So filling in my critical order dates and getting to the save and process, of course. We did make a small change on that bottom section. You see how some things are kind of grayed out. That's intentional. Hopefully that for training and when you get new hires and things like that, it's more user intuitive. These grayed out dates do not need to be filled in. They will derive from other things happening on the project. So we don't need to fill those in. So a little bit of a visual change there. Otherwise, we save and process. our items, a little pop-up will come up and you click process. Okay. Some benefits of these new windows: auto names the order, obviously. You can adjust it, but then all of your items will show up on the bottom. These windows do allow you to move things around. I tried to start moving this one and I realized, oh, can't do that, but you can move the top ones around if you wanted to customize your layout, another thing. But you can full screen your line items as well, which is kind of nice. So all the same things that we're seeing in these other windows we've already been doing, they're all going to come into these as we update our interfaces. And then you have your financial summary on the right side instead of across the grid and having to scroll. Your whole financial summary of this order will be previewed on the right side. Okay. You want to create a new order. Any buttons that were on the top before, they should all still be on the top. There's a few additional options, like the configure invoice items, which I just talked about in another slide, but check out those help guide articles if you're unsure of what you're looking at. But there's some new features in here as well. I should have highlighted those, but just a quick little preview. You can um, uh, uh, add part options. You can add parts from search now. So if you're past the bill of materials and you don't want to go all the way back to the BOM and you just need to add something quickly, we're making that more um, just user facing, easier to do. You could do that in the old one, but it was not intuitive whatsoever. So much more intuitive and user facing in the new order entry module. Real quick, we did redesign the final profit module. No new features here. It's just the new interface. We might make some changes in the future, but what this came with was actually some user feedback about what's showing in this window. There are some user rights that hide commissions, pay rates. So those have all been looked at and made more solid to ensure that if you want to give access to the final profit module, but you don't want them to have access to pay rates or commissions, things like that, that will all be hidden. Additionally, this is also kind of loading in the background, so enhance, speed performance and loading while you could still can do other things in the system. So that should be a given. Anytime we update these interfaces, we're also looking at increasing the performance as well. Nothing crazy on that one, just the new grids. But as you've heard me say a bajillion times at this point, with new grids, you get a ton of benefits. If you haven't looked at conditional formatting, my goodness, if you're one of my report experts or admins in the room, you should know about conditional formatting, color coding, and changing things to alert people visually of red flags. Conditional formatting is really cool in these new grids. We've also redesigned the project payable search, just updated the interface. There were some things that were broken in that, so those have been fixed. So you can actually search your vendor deposits and see all your deposits. You have some date range options that actually work now. I think it was broken before, and you had to do your date. It was possible. You just had to do your date filters in the actual grid, but now you can use the top section to do all your date filters. And there's some cool, like you can do actual date betweens, like hard dates, but you can also do just last month, last year, last quarter, things like that in the date range. This is the new grid functionality. So already said it a bajillion times. Not going to say it again. You guys know what that comes with now, but and then there's some things that you can actually do. You can bulk set paid date as well. So updated interface with some bug fixes all wrapped up in one, performance enhancements as well. Added functionality to the grids. We have some dealers who are doing some calculated columns, meaning you can, this is a little example of in the invoice by salesperson, I have what I invoiced this period and I had payments, but I didn't have a balance owed field in case I want to see what the balance due is as I'm looking at what's been invoiced by salesperson. I created a calculated column. It's like Excel, a formula. Okay. These are things that come with these grids. And again, encouraging my data experts to get in and get even more educated on some of these things. But you can also um, create the sum for those calculated columns. That wasn't possible before. So now you can add sum to the bottom. Feature request from a user. Can't remember who it was, but shout out to you. Clear all filters. I think that is so cool. If you're looking at a grid and you're not sure if there's a filter applied to it, the little blue symbol on the filter icon, you can right click on top of any column and just click clear all filters. And that way, if you do have anything hidden that you're not sure if something's not showing up for some reason, maybe it's a filter, quickly clear all the filters. Other miscellaneous enhancements, we've added a lot of fields, user request, just coming down the pipe from all of you guys of fields that you want to add into grids. We've added them. So all product received has been added to the current backlog. I would suggest that you format it. If you don't know ones and zeros, ones are yeses, zeros are nos. Rather than looking at it in ones and zeros, you can format it to a checkbox. Okay, highly recommend that. Lots of grid functionality and features. I feel like it's a grid training webinar at this point, but these are all really cool features that you should be taking advantage of. We've also added the acknowledgement tracking number to the receiving module. I'll talk about the receiving module. Oh, yeah, I already talked about the receiving module. So that one has an updated interface, but tracking number was requested to be added into that. Corporate division to the punch list grid. In the install calendar, any of my operations folks on your booked orders needing to be scheduled, at the bottom there is a before it was only showing acknowledgments. Now we're showing purchase orders as well. That way you can see a full picture of all purchase orders, even if they haven't been acknowledged yet. That's the order status grid. Basically, we just updated the install calendar as well. Project designer filter has been added to the project analysis. So if you want to run a project analysis and filter down to a specific designer before running the query, you can now do that. Another request by a user touch type fields have been added to the project analysis so that you can report on those. Percent acknowledge has been added to purchase orders only on new purchase orders created is the note on the release note. So I added that in, but being able to quickly glance at what's the percentage of acknowledged on those purchase orders. And then there's some breakouts as far as fields go in the order status grid. It was including sales tax, so we've kind of broken those out so you can see the full picture. Order cell without tax, order cell with tax, and just the tax on its own. All right, wrapping up here. There were so many issues resolved in this last update. When we get to the end of the year and we delayed putting out a major release, we have been working incredibly hard. Shout out to the development team here at eManage. There are more than what I'm showing on this list. I'm going to go through a few of the big ones, but I will encourage you at the end of this to look at the full list of issues resolved. I didn't even go over all of the enhancements. I do think I hit on most of the new features, but please, please, please look at the release notes to get an idea of what was actually fully released in this update. But as far as the beta BOM goes and bill of materials, lots and lots of fixes in that. So please start using it. Continue to report any issues that you're experiencing. We want to get that 100% solid before we get rid of the legacy BOM. So it's up to you. We are testing as much as we possibly can internally. And at some point, we will be making the switch. So please get in there and use it. There was a user that reported proper case on the option level. It was automatically capitalizing everything in the options. For a specific example, it came up because they were doing nameplates and they didn't want the name to be the tag on the name to be all capitalized, letting the vendor know and letting the customer know this is how it's actually going to be manufactured. So we did make an adjustment there. So if you are seeing any issues with that, please let us know. We think that we've captured everything there, but there was also an issue with the show MFG, show manufacturer in the quote settings that has been resolved. As far as project goes, there was a moving document issue, so that's been resolved. Several web services issues with links, global and Technion, and then in general processing documents. So be sure to look at all of those in more detail. If you're looking for a web service fix, it should be in this next release. Lots of grids and reporting issues resolved. Excuse me. The special characters that were breaking a lot of reports. That was a huge one. On the finance side, there was when you're applying a customer credit and you're using the search box, there was an issue with applying that credit, so that's been resolved. Some sorting issues with adding a vendor invoice. The deposits I referenced already. Invoice by line item, there was a calculation applying amount issue. All of these things, there were workarounds, of course. You should have been able to continue forward, but now they are just more solid. A couple of administrator issues fixed and miscellaneous. There's been some improvements to the main search. You guys have been reporting some weird results and a white box issue that should be resolved. And then some big one, loading error for those of you who for some reason aren't cleaning up your to be scheduled on the bottom. If you have 2,000 plus orders to be scheduled, which definitely go in and mark those that they don't need to be scheduled anymore to clean that up. But there was a loading error and we did resolve that. Wrapping up here, again, support and resources. You have it. Please go check help and release notes. As I just mentioned, there was so much in this update on top of those new features and enhancements. So please go check out the full list. This video will be plugged into your release notes so that you can rewatch this video, and there's a link for that. And then you can also click on the link at the top, which takes you to a article where you can actually click on the links to see instructions on, more details on that feature or that enhancement. And then, of course, as always, if you guys are having any issues and you're not signed up for the help desk yet, please go sign up for our help desk. That was under help. Send a help request and you can report a technical issue. They do not go to my email inbox. So please go into the service desk so that we can prioritize your issues accordingly and get you resolved as quickly as possible. Several different options there to submit into the right channel. So if you're having a technical issue, make sure you report it as a technical issue. Or if you want a new feature or an improvement, definitely go through the request a feature or improvement channel. Additional training needs, questions about how do I do things, those are not technical issues. Please submit those to the training department. Awesome. I know that was so much, a lot of info, and I saw the chat going off. Ravi, is there anything that I should address with the entire group?
I think I've been answering most of them as we go along, but if anybody feels that there is, feel free to mention.
Good.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a question.
Hey.
So I saw Ravi had responded to running a payables report instead of without a start date. So running a payables report as a historical point in time, and then also if there's a way to do that with the receivables as well, or our
Yes.
AR report.
Yep. Analysis, projects, customer invoices. Same thing though. You can run it by date range. Jerry, the project payable report is under analysis projects. It's there now, but it's the old version, so I would wait for the update to get the latest and greatest. It works a lot better. Absolutely. Just make sure if you, a lot of project payables questions there, just be sure for my accounting folks in the room that you're when you're sending your payables over to QuickBooks, it pops up with a notification that says, do you want to look for paid bills? Make sure you're hitting yes there. That way we're getting that data back into eManage as far as paid on dates go. That way you can really take advantage of this project payable search and look at the paid dates and things like that right within eManage without having to go to QuickBooks. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to meet with us, and we'll be rolling this out to our first group later this week. Ideally, we'd like to have it completely rolled out over the next couple of weeks, but we will communicate that with you guys. And as mentioned, if you have any issues, don't hesitate to put in a ticket, and we'll see you on the next one.